State regime media known as Fox was collapsing on air last night as California Governor Gavin Newsom is powerfully calling out Donald Trump and Trump sycophants, handing out knee pad awards to all of Trump's sycophants who bend the knee. I just want you to watch here as propagandist Sean Hannity says, "Don't do the knee pads. That's absolutely disgusting. The Democrats are being mean. They're the party of hate." Seriously, Sean, watch Hannity collapse on air. Play this clip.
And out west in California, Newsom still making his weird, cringeworthy social media posts. In a gross new post, Newsom publishing this image of knee pads of Trump supporters, also bashing those who collaborate with the Trump administration, suggesting they won't get into heaven.
Speaking about collapsing on air, then you had Jesse Waters bring in his favorite guest, Kid Rock, who's the intellectual backbone of the MAGA Republican Party right now. And Kid Rock says, look, all these left-wing talking points when they're angry that Donald Trump just tore down the East Wing, look, that's nothing compared to when Cracker Barrel changed its logo. Kid Rock said, if Donald Trump won the election, he gets to tear down anything he wants. We all know that. It's patriotic to destroy the White House. Watch this. What the hell are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
Well, I've heard all the talking points like you have from the left wing, especially the media, which is, this is the people's house. That is correct. That is the people's house. And guess what? We, the people, elected this man overwhelmingly to be in that house. And he's going to build a big, beautiful addition. It's not going to take any of the taxpayers' money to do it. And thank God, if he's going to sidestep a few regulations, which I don't know that to be a fact, but I wouldn't be mad at him. I've built some things and trying to get things done with I can only imagine the regulations if he tried to do it all exactly by the book. And be like, all he has to do is say, we're going to put in a gender-neutral bathroom, and they'll be like, oh, we love your ballroom idea.
That's all he needs to do. And then they'll be dancing the night away.
Then you have Jesse Waters. They're terrified of Gavin Newsom. Jesse Waters is like, Newsom thinks he can play the shame game. Everybody in Trump's cabinet, they're based. They're more based than Trump. These are based people. Based? What are you even talking about? How about they behave like adults and grown-ups and they act like their position entails? Here, play this clip.
Newsom, what he's doing is playing the shame game. Now, the shame game, how could you stand by? Well, this president, that worked in the first term when Trump didn't have his team there. His second term team is based. They're more based than Trump. Holman, Hegseth, Miller. You're not going to shame these guys out of anything. They're going to do their thing.
And then Jesse Waters, as he continues to collapse on air, says, I'm really worried about these Trump cabinet officials like Stephen Miller, or not necessarily a cabinet officials, but these Trump officials like Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, and the whole crew. It's like, we got to pardon these people. I'm worried about them. Here, play this clip.
I'm worried about his team. I'm worried about Miller and I'm worried about Homan and all the crew because it looks like, from what Carville's saying, come 2028, it's back to the revenge game. They will probably run on revenge in 28. And so Trump just needs to do what Biden did and just pardon everybody on the way out the door.
Going back to Kid Rock, he and Jesse Waters are talking about what they're going to dress up as Halloween, and Kid Rock uses the R word. Horrific. Here, play this clip.
Let me ask you a question. What are you going to be for Halloween?
So my whole family is doing Scooby-Doo. My son's going to be Scooby-Doo. I'm Shaggy. So I'm going to kind of dress like you. Big baggy clothes, I got long hair. I'm just going to have a little flask while I walk around. Yeah. There you go. Undercover brother.
Guess what I'm going to be?
What?
Guess what I'm going to be?
Fauci?
A retard. A retard.
Okay. I guess you can be anything for
Greatest
Halloween.
costume ever.
Jesse Waters then brings in Pam Bondi, and she says that she's now criminally investigating Nancy Pelosi, Governor Pritzker, the DA in San Francisco, because they're speaking negatively about ICE. And she goes, we criminally investigate you. And she goes, if they don't think that Bondi's going to come after him, well, you don't know Bondi. Okay, Bondi. Talking about. Here, play this clip.
You cannot disclose the identity of a federal agent, where they live, anything that could harm them. Pritzker, same ball game with him. And, you know, Pelosi got a letter today from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. So did Brooke Jenkins, that DA in San Francisco. We told them, preserve your emails, preserve everything you have on this topic, because if you are telling people to arrest our ICE officers, our federal agents, you cannot do that. You're impeding an investigation, and we will charge them if they think they have not met me, because we will charge them if they are violating the law. We will protect our federal agents. They're out there working nonstop, as you're showing right now during a shutdown. These people are out there working to keep Californians safe, yet you've got Pelosi out there saying to obstruct their investigation. You can't do it, and we're going to investigate her now, as well as that DA.
Then they bring in Kash Patel, the FBI director. And they had that indictment earlier in the day where they charged multiple NBA players and athletes in connection with this illegal gambling ring where there was like cheating taking place. And then they try to create some controversy on Laura Ingraham. They're like, and Stephen A. Smith suggests that this was revenge for left-wing activism of the NBA. Isn't Stephen Smith like a guest on Hannity? Ooh, left-wing activism in the NBA. I don't even know, what are they talking? Can you just give people their health care, please? Like, can you not take away the health care from 20 million Americans? And can you please just make things more affordable? And can you please just be freaking normal and not attack our farmers and not attack construction manufacturers, all Americans, frankly? Can you make it so that Americans aren't psychologically tortured, living paycheck to paycheck right now? Can you make it so Americans can afford their frickin' rent? Oh, left-wing NBA activism, and that's retaliation. Just make up like fake controversies and then go, oh, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Your whole discussion right there is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. What are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
By the way, this was so wild. Stephen A. Smith, the sports commentator, suggested that this was revenge from the president for all the kind of left-wing activism of the NBA. Your response to that, 15 seconds.
I'm the FBI director. I decide which arrests to conduct and which not to conduct. That may be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard out of anyone in modern history, and I live most of my time in Washington, D.C. It's right up there with Adam Schiff. We arrest people for crimes.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who are approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popak was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popak Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popak's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopakfirm.com, thepopakfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popak a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popak. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in. And hat tip to Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. He was on Fox and Brett Baer tried to play a bunch of gotcha games with Pritzker, but Pritzker was ready as always. Here, play this clip.
There are many Democrats who pointed to Donald Trump before the 24 election saying he was challenging the integrity of the election by saying almost exactly what you're saying about him now. Why do you think he's going to steal the election?
What I'm telling you is you can just look back in his own history, that back to 2020, after the election, when he claimed fraud, he claimed it had been stolen from him. And he and Michael Flynn discussed, and Michael Flynn very publicly talked about, maybe we should use troops and go in and seize the ballot boxes and count the votes. You don't think Donald Trump heard that and thought maybe that's a good idea? And here we are. He's sending troops onto the streets of American cities, into blue states in blue cities, and he's calling it about crime,
and you don't
but
think
that's
by
not
saying
at all what it's
this now that you are somehow challenging the integrity of the next election.
No, he is challenging the integrity of the next election, but yes, he is challenging the integrity of the next election by sending troops into our cities. That's what I believe this is about. It isn't about fighting crime. He said he's going after the worst of the worst. That is not what they're doing. They are literally going after black and brown people because of the color of their skin.
And here's what Pritzker had to say about ICE agents on Fox. Let's play this clip.
We've seen it. All you have to do is go online and look at some of the videos. Just to be clear, because I think many people that are listening maybe haven't seen that.
You don't
before.
think you're painting with a broad brush of all the ICE agents that are doing their job?
No, we're saying that if you're an ICE agent and you do these things, we think you ought to be held accountable. And yet no one in Washington, no one above them, no supervisor, no inspector general is holding anybody accountable. There literally haven't been any suspensions or firings for the terrible things that they've done. Literally grabbing people, tackling them when they're U.S. citizens and have done zero
You've
wrong.
referred to ICE as Kristi Noem's thugs. Would you be willing to do a ride along with ICE in Chicago to get a better understanding about what they do and what they deal with?
I can see what they do on the streets of Chicago. And
are there any ICE agents that are good? There are any ICE agents that are good?
Of course. The problem is who's holding the bad ones accountable? Because the bad ones, frankly, are the ones that we're seeing all the time. And then you have Bovino on Fox News saying, oh, they're very professional. They're doing everything by the book.
Then you have this next clip. You have Brooke Rollins, the agriculture secretary. And she asked about, so Donald Trump's now bringing in beef from Argentina to undercut our cattle ranchers in the United States, further screwing them. The tariffs have screwed them over already. We also know that the beef from Argentina is riddled with foot and mouth disease, FMD. But Brooke Rollins says, we're making beef great again. We're putting beef back at the center of the American diet. Biden stole your beef. We're giving you the beef, and it's the center of your diet. What? Here, play this clip.
The plan that we released yesterday, which the president was so excited about, we were opening up 5 million acres of taxpayer land, BLM and Forest Service land, for our ranchers to lease from the government. We're implementing new programs to allow younger ranchers to get into the business with cheaper loans, better protection, etc. We are with Newton Maha, with Bobby Kennedy, and putting protein, specifically beef, back at the center of the American diet from the government's perspective. And when you think about what we spend every day on nutrition programs from the USDA, it's $400 million a day, pivoting some of that to specifically locally grown and produced and healthy, the best beef in the world.
And then Brooke Rollins, agriculture secretary for Donald Trump, is asked, look, these cattle ranchers are pretty pissed off at Donald Trump right now. The head of the Beef Association, Maine Professional Society for Ranchers, says that Donald Trump has betrayed them, echoing what we hear from the soybean farmers and others, that Donald Trump's screwing them. $40 billion bailout to Argentina, and we bring in Argentinian beef. What an FU to our farmers and frankly to all Americans. At the same time, Donald Trump is tearing down the White House. And here's what Brooke Rollins said. She goes, the frustrations on both sides. What does it even mean? The frustrations on both sides of what? I was with him. He loves the farmers. He loves you farmers. No, he doesn't. He hates the farmers. He's showing with his actions that he hates the farmers. Here, play this clip.
There's a bigger problem that they've got. It's not even just about the imports of the Argentine beef. That would hurt them. But then they're saying that they're struggling with the cost that they're dealing with on their small production farms. How do you address those folks?
Yeah, a couple of different points on this I think are really important. The first is that this president, when he ran and cast his vision, well over the last almost 10 years now, which is hard to believe, but certainly over the last year as he was running in 2024, was many promises, but top of the list was securing the border. And he's done that pretty remarkably. And number two was making America more affordable again, that under Joe Biden, everything, the inflation, fuel, groceries, everything had just skyrocketed. Eggs, I know we talked about on this show a lot at the beginning of the year. And so he is very, very focused on what he needs to do to check that box for the American people to make sure that they can afford the sort of life that they want to provide for their family. So that's first. But second, as the president mentioned, and he has said over and over and over again, he loves our farmers and our ranchers. He innately understands how important they are, not just to feeding and fueling our country and frankly the world, but also to the very fabric of this nation, the sort of that frontier, independent, hardworking spirit that they have. That is the best of America. That is from 250 years ago, and they represent that better than probably anybody else in the world. Mm-hmm. So ensuring that he can support the farmers and ranchers, certainly in the beef cattle industries that we're talking about now, and the consumer, these are not mutually exclusive goals. They can work together, but there is frustration on both sides. And I was with the president yesterday, and he is very, very frustrated because everything he's done to cut taxes, to bring down costs. And you think about the last administration, they were working to get cattle off the lands. They didn't like cattle. They're worried about climate change and methane emissions from our cattle industry. And this president has worked so hard.
And then next you have a performatively angry, as Aaron Rupert writes, Michael Ruley, MAGA Republican Congress member, accusing Jack Smith of, quote, borderline treason, and says what he did is criminal. Here, play this clip.
The surveillance of Republican senators. What more can you tell us this morning?
I think he is borderline treason. I think Lindsey Graham said it best in committee. He says, you got our records, Grassley's records, elected senators. There's only 100 senators that are in this country, and they actually spied on them. And he thinks that's just like when they raided Mar-a-Lago and they found nothing. How dare they? They will kill the republic. It is almost treasonous. He is completely wrong. What he did is criminal, and we're not going to stop. You have no right to go to members of Congress and investigate them for no reason at all. We're not going to put up with this. It is not a banana republic. This is the greatest republic ever. How dare him? He is going to be under the microscope, and we will discover everything that he did. He should be shamed.
All right, tough guy. I've got a challenge for you then, tough guy. Well, Jack Smith said that he wants to speak in front of Congress in public. Jack Smith said, no games. Let me go and speak publicly. You want to subpoena me and do one of these closed door depositions. You're just going to misrepresent what I say. You want me? Come at me. I want a hearing in public before the American people. And Jack Smith says, not only that, but I'll be willing to talk about not just the phase 1 investigation into January 6th. He goes, you want to talk about what went down at Mar-a-Lago and the nuclear secrets and the other information that I got? The second under seal documents? Let me know. I'm happy to talk about that. Give me approval from the DOJ and I will air it all out. You want the smoke? I'll give you the smoke, is what Jack Smith said in the letter from his lawyers at Covington. I'll make a whole video on that today as well. And I think that's a powerful move by Jack Smith, calling MAGA's bluff right there. So Republicans, Jim Jordan, you're a tough guy, Jim Jordan. You think you're tough? You someone who covers up sexual abuse your whole life is what you've done? Bring Jack Smith in public and let's go. Let's go, tough guys. Let Jack Smith go in public like he wants to. We know the MAGA Republicans aren't going to do that because they are pathetic, weak little men. They don't even deserve to be called that. Anyway, hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.